Hello there, welcome to a special edition of Heart Explained Therapy, where I'm going to show you how to tie a tie. That's correct. Now, I can't remember how to tie a tie, to be honest. So I'm just going to give it a quick guess. Now, I'm presuming that you have to have this little bit halfway down to the big bit. I'm not sure if that's the technical term about it, but apparently this is all going to make sense in about 2 seconds. Now the big bit goes round the little bit and you wrap it around and then push it up through there. And now what you do is bring it out and put it back down the hole that you have here. And you have to push it into the hole, and there you have basically what looks like a little bit of a messy tie. Now this bit that's smaller, this is going to make a lot of sense to you now. You get it straight, you hold it, and you're pushing the tie up to where you want to have the tie. So what you do is get the exact tie the way that you like the tie to be. So obviously you want this sort of tight to your neck. And there we have the most perfect tie you're ever going to see. Now I haven't actually got any shirts to really show you in a really good way how this would be, because all my shirts are in a summer packed away bag and they only come out in the summer when I have to go to places of importance, like, I don't know, if there's a meeting or training session. But the reason I'm showing you how to tie a tie today, and it's not really worked well because it's not a shirt, so I apologise for that, but because it's the 4th most googled question today: how to tie a tie. Now this makes me want to implode, because a lot of people all over the world obviously don't know how to tie a tie. And it's quite funny on stuff that we don't know. The number 1 googled word today was, what is an IP address? The second one was, what is the time? I'm presuming they googled what is the time on a mobile phone. Now that's even more frightening. Now let me put this into context, why this is frightening. We are the most intelligent species, life, somebody who can perceive reality, in a universe that seems to be, at our current measurements, eternal. That means that we can't measure where it ends, which means it's billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of miles and miles and miles. It's an extraordinary, massive amount. Now if we was the only species just in our solar system, in our universe, this would still be an alarming question for me. But this, we are the most intelligent atom that we know. And the stuff that we Google shows where this collective, or the majority of the collective mindset, because it's regarded now that possibly 60% of the world population are using the internet, and it's just getting higher and higher, and it's just expanding, where that's a massive amount of people. So you've got to see this as the collective mind. And the collective mind are asking what IP addresses are, what time it is, and how to tie a tie. Now I'm presuming they need an IP address to give to an employee, which they have to wear a tie for the first time, and their mums and dads never told them how to wear a tie, probably because they didn't ever need to wear a tie. The tie that I had as a kid was on an elastic band. which was great, because you would have had a lot of kids that wouldn't have a clue on how to make a tie or do the tie. So I understand now why it's on an elastic band. And they're all asking the time because they don't want to be late for this massive interview that they've got. 60% of the population, well, not 60% of the population are asking this, but 20% of that 60% population are asking this question. Now this is frightening because one, time isn't real in the sense that you rarely need to know the exact time unless you had an appointment for, let's say, heart surgery. Being the surgeon or the patient, I would say that was pretty important. But time on a scale, I can't imagine why people would Google on a phone, what is the time? Did they want to check if their phone was right? Now, this is the intellectual consciousness that we have currently today. I would have loved to have Googled 3 different questions. Possibly, how do we solve poverty? How do we raise more money for the cure of cardiovascular disease or cancer? Perhaps, how can we merge all religions so we don't have a war on religion ever again? How do we stop suppressing black people and women? But anybody who's anybody is concerned about wearing a tie, what an IP address is, and what time they have to do that tie up and get the IP address sent over. And it's just sad. And it makes me think that we cannot be the most intelligent human or life form ever. We just can't. On that basis, that is not intelligence. That is not intellectual. But if you've tuned in just to make a tie, I hope I helped you. I'm not even sure how to make a tie. The tie was just a prop. I possibly carried on the tie a bit too long at the start of this. No one's asking questions of importance. Nobody feels that those questions are important, which is even more frightening. And we're just losing touch with real conscious reality, which is interaction, which is love and experience with people, which is protecting other people outside of your circle of family and friends. And I find this frightening. I find that there's more to life than this consciousness that's being created via these networks of communication, which actually stops us communicating even more and just fills our brain with nonsense, fills a void that we could fill in a much more rewarding way. But we're just stuck now with tiny fragment bits of serotonin hits, and that didn't even mean to rhyme, but it does. But the world continues like this, which I believe it will. We are going to believe that we are actually stuck in this reality, this prison, which is great. We can virtually go anywhere we want to in the world, which is going to feel great because it's hitting serotonin, sort of producing thought processes. The algorithm will be made specifically to tender and cater for all your specific needs. But there'll always be a natural desire for an emotional feeling, a proper feeling, understanding that emotional feeling. And this is just getting further and further away from not only human beings' existence, their experience, but also away from being something that is even thought about, which is far more frightening. But we'll all be able to wear a tie, we'll all have an IP address, and we'll all know exactly what time it is when this happens, so there's nothing else to really worry about, is there?